in on his days off. And certainly you could tell he was very up for the game. He was very enthusiastic. I thought he played well. The fact he didn't score is neither here nor there. On one of those shots, Sorrentino had to make this incredible once-in-a-lifetime save. So that's the good part. I think the question mark going forward, and it's not going to be a problem against most teams because Juve will overpower them, is what is Allegri's best 11? What is the 11 that he turns to for big games? And where does Cristiano fit? I personally didn't like the way he set up for the first hour or so with Cristiano playing as a center forward with the two wingers. I thought he did a lot better when he started out on the left wing after Mario Mandzukic came on, in some ways replicating what he had at Real Madrid. But of course, the big problem is Juventus only have one center forward, and it's Mandzukic, and he's 32 years old, and he's coming after obviously a long World Cup and whatnot. So that might be the one question mark conundrum that Allegri has to solve.
What do you think, Ali, about Gab's thoughts on the centre-forward situation? That 4-3-3 is what those Juventus fans seem to think would work really well on paper.
The first thing was really odd to see Cristiano Ronaldo in a different uniform. And that feeling of you expect to see him with Real Madrid, you expect to see him with Manchester United, now he's with Juventus. And so it takes some getting used to. In terms of getting used to the way that the team plays, you see a Juventus team in this particular game against Chievo Verona where Cuadrado and Douglas Costa were getting on each other's way. And they didn't feel also comfortable in kind of rotating around whatever Cristiano Ronaldo was going to do. The freedom that Cristiano Ronaldo had at Real Madrid, everybody kind of knew that, all right, he starts on the left, but he's going to end up in the middle inside the 18-yard box, getting on the end of crosses. And in order to do that, everybody else has to know where their rotations are going to be. So if Cristiano shows up in the middle, where does the guy in the middle show up? Does he go out to the left? Those rotations take time because it's not natural for Mandzukic to then throw himself into another area. It's not natural for Douglas Costa to go into a different area. It's not natural for Juan Cuadrado to rotate into a different area. Ronaldo's going to go one way, the other guys are going to have to adjust, and he's going to need the freedom, and he's going to have that freedom to move wherever he wants in the final third.
I just feel, I agree with Gab. I think it is a little bit strange for Ronaldo to be playing in there now. Mandzukic would be perfect, and was so in the World Cup. I just wonder if they could play a false nine because they've got so much talent in that forward area, and there's no doubt that Cristiano, with his back to play as the focal point for the attack, maybe it's not the best way to use him. And coming off the wing and with his movement, with his runs, very deceptive. So maybe they could go with a false nine, but I think with the talent that's at Allegri's disposal, there's no doubt that he will get it sorted out.
Mario Balotelli is happy to stay for a third year. Julien, what do you make of this? Now playing for Patrick Vieira, of course he didn't turn up to training at the start of the summer, but it appears that the market is rather cold for a return for Super Mario to Serie A.
Yeah, I think that's more the reason why he's staying in Nice. He had 1 year left on his contract. He did very well for the first 2 years, scoring 43 goals in all competitions. But he wanted to go, really, and we all know that. Patrick Vieira knew it, and Patrick Vieira said, he can go. If he finds a club, he can go. The problem is there was no club. There was no club there for Mario Balotelli. Marseille were the only one really interested. They made an offer a month ago, a bit more than a month ago, that was way below the asking price that Nice wanted, which was around the 12 to 15 million euros. So Balotelli had no real choice than staying, and I think that's fine. I think that's great for Ligue 1 that he's staying. I think that's great for Nice if he's in the right state of mind, the same state of mind that saw him doing so well for the last 2 years. And at least he's got Patrick Vieira there, who he knows very well from their time at City together. And he also has that momentum going into the third season after, like we said, the two very good ones. So it's good news overall, but it's surely not really what Mario Balotelli wanted.
Gab, would it have been a deal that could have got done in terms of wages from a particular Serie A club? Of course, Marseille were interested in him as well, and noticed by Nice to have tried to tap him up earlier in the summer. But were wages a stumbling block in the end?
I don't think so because, ultimately he's got a year left on his deal. So he's going to come, he's going to sign a longer term deal. He doesn't make that much money at Nice. I think it was more the fact that, you look at Serie A clubs, he wasn't going to go to Juve for obvious reasons. Inter have their center forward, Roma have their center forward, Napoli was maybe the one situation, but they're going to give Milik a go at center forward. You can always go back to Mertens if need be. Milan have their center forward. So, where was he going to go? I agree with Julian. I think it's a good solution for him. If he has another good season, he's going to be in a free transfer next summer. His behavior's been better. His production's been better. And I think Patrick Vieira can be a great influence on him.
Welcome into the ESPN FC studios. Alejandro Moreno, Paul Mariner and me, Ross Dyer, here to discuss Everton Football Club's prospective hopes for the new season after another summer of big spending. Under Marco Silva in his maiden season, have they got it better than they did last year with Ronald Koeman at the helm?
You're going to pay attention to this, right? You're an Everton fan, right? Yeah, you're feeling confident? Look, there's been a lot of moves by Everton, and now it's a question of whether these pieces can come together. But I do think that it's important that you get performances out of Richarlison and productivity, because if you're going to pay that a whole bunch of money for a guy that really was unproven in the Premier League, showed some signs, but you wanted to see that productivity week in and week out. So far, so good. Theo Walcott, what becomes of him? Is he the guy that we saw later in his career with Arsenal, or was he the guy with a whole lot of hope that maybe somehow has a magical season for Everton? Those guys are going to be important in terms of what they do in the final third. And then the balance of a team, which Marco Silva didn't quite get it right at times, he's going to have to get it right now.
Paul, they brought in Marcel Brands. Is that going to help them kind of get a new identity? Do they need a new identity or simply a few ideas?
I think what they've done, I think they've identified the issues. I mean, Pickford was a very good goalkeeper, but in front of him, they were letting water in, every single game. So to get Yerry Mina in, I'm guessing he'll play alongside Keane. I think that's fairly strong. As Ali says, Richarlison looks as though he's hit the ground running with a few goals. Walcott is going to be absolutely key because he has got breakaway pace. He just needs to improve his finishing. The focal point is always in that central midfield area. Can they have enough possession of the football to give the back four that release of the pressure, and can they get the ball forward and put the ball in the back of the net? Because that has been an issue for this Everton Football Club. They've leaked too many goals and they haven't been able to finish the chances off. So it looks as though the manager has bought very, very well. It looks as though there's a little bit of flow with the Barcelona boys coming in. That may help them a little bit. But I don't think they're out of the woods just yet. But I think this is quite an encouraging start.
So what's a successful season then? You're an Everton fan. What's a successful season for Everton?
Well, I would suggest that it would be a top six move. I mean, I know that the top six has been established by the money. Everton have been spending the money. I know that you believe that they weren't ever good enough. The players were never at the level to go beyond a top seven. But my question would have been, do you think now they might be?
I think that's about it. That seventh seems about right for Everton. And it's not so much about Everton as it is as much about the guys that are in front of them. I mean, who are you taking out of that list? And it just feels like Everton having a good season would be in that area. Somewhere between 6 to 8, 7 would be just about right. I think that's a step forward, and that's something that may just push them into a different level next season.
OK, well, it certainly is an interesting season for Everton fans. A little bit of optimism. Unbeaten start, under 2 matches. Hey! ESPN FC is available daily, as always, on the ESPN Plus app. Gab, state the case for this expansion internationally by La Liga.
Well, look, I mean, I think a lot of the reaction to this is because people compared it to the 39th game in the Premier League. But, you know, England isn't Spain, 2008 isn't 2018, and we're not talking about everybody having to go over. I think a couple teams that want to and that can benefit financially from it going over, I think that's a good thing. I think one of the keys is going to be, you know, how is this money going to be redistributed? How are they going to go and promote La Liga? I think to some small clubs in La Liga who go through this boom and bust promotion relegation cycle, I think it could help stabilize them. I think it could be helpful. But what it can't be is, I think, you know, simply another 90-minute ad infomercial for Barcelona or Real Madrid, and then they get all the money. It can't work that way. You have to be smart about it, promote everybody, and figure out a way to redistribute the revenue in a way that benefits La Liga as a whole.
Julian, it does seem to be certainly an idea that would make sense for a number of teams, especially if internationally that's where the growth is going to be for these teams in other European leagues who are seeking to expand, such as the Premier League has managed to do domestically. Would you advocate it for France too?
Yeah, I mean, it's not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. I'm a bit struggling to understand really why some clubs will want to do that. However, I get Gab's points, and I think Ligue 1 and especially a club like PSG, for example, will be very keen on doing something like that. It's a way of developing their brand. It's some sort of exposure, huge exposure. That's why they go, to the US, for example, for their preseason. That's why they go to China for their French Community Shield before the season between PSG and Monaco this year. But they also went to Canada or to North Africa or to Southeast Asia. So, I can see the appeal. It's not my thing, but I can see why Ligue 1 would be very keen on doing that as well. And a club like PSG, for example, would see a lot of benefit into doing it.
Welcome into extra time, Ali Moreno, Paul Mariner.
You forget my name?
No.
Yeah, you kind of did. Sorry.
Alejandro Moreno, Paul Mariner.
Out of sight, out of mind. So you have a holiday?
Yeah, that's it.
Salzburg. That's where you were, right?
Munich and Salzburg. See, I brought two countries
over there?
together.
So who's
that was Salzburg.
Who's your team, Bayern Munich or Salzburg?
No, Salzburg.
Oh, I like that.
Well,
0-0 today in the Champions League.
good result. Away from home.
Rubbish.
Take it. No away goal. Talked about that. Let's get the first question underway. Is Manchester United turning into Arsenal before our eyes? More interested in branding and profit than actually winning? That comes from Gus Sanchez.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, go on, Paul.
Oh, what a big question.
You know Arsenal very well.
I know Arsenal very, very well. Look, there's been turmoil in the off-season with Manchester United. I mean, we all know that Mourinho's not had his World Cup players, but you've got to get on with it. So it's sort of been dragging the brand down, in my view. I think it's a bit of a stretch to say they turned into Arsenal. I think Arsenal is still a massive club. Obviously, United are the biggest club in the world, but it is a little sad to see all these arguments that are going on in and around the football club. They haven't really signed anybody. Just got Fred in, I believe. So it's not the Man United that I know and hated as a boy.
You know who Manchester United? You know what Manchester United's biggest issue is? It's not Mourinho. It's not Pogba. It's not whatever is going on inside the locker room. It's not Ed Woodward. It's not all the things that people are talking about. Their biggest issue is Manchester City. Manchester City
and Liverpool.
Yeah, and Liverpool. Manchester City in particular, they are separating themselves from the rest, and they're miles ahead of Manchester United at this point. And so, while they can focus on all the things that are going in-house, Manchester City continues to do what they do. They look good doing it, with style, winning, entertaining, and producing.
Yeah, I mean, Gus's question, when you think about what Liverpool have done, I mean, the rival, if you go back in the annals of football history, the rivalry between...
You can go far back.
I go way, way back.
I mean, like...
The rivalry between Liverpool and Man United is absolutely storied. Now, Man City were never in the mix, but now with Guardiola, the way he spent, the football that he's playing, it's absolute torture for Manchester United fans.
But as far as Manchester United, the club's concerned, just to Gus's point, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter if they win anything on the pitch. In terms of the profits, they're executing. They now describe themselves as, what is it, a multimedia conglomerate that's able to connect with fans. Do they still need to win in order to keep that going?
The Man United. Yeah, they absolutely do.
I think the standard set by the history of success of Manchester United demands from the manager, the players, and everybody else involved with the team that they win, yes.
All right, we'll see where they go from here. Where would you rate Mane among the best players in the EPL? That comes in from Jatin. Sadio Mane, big fan. Is he up there in the top, I don't know, 5, 6?
No, not top 5 or 6, but he is a tremendous talent.
Yeah.
But he's not even the best player in his own team. So to talk about him in the top 5, I don't think so. I do think that he's a critical player to the success of Liverpool.
He's the type of player that you pay money to watch. You look at some of the teams. I mean, we were talking about Cardiff and Newcastle at the weekend. I wouldn't cross the street to watch that game, but I would pay money to watch Mane play. Particularly the relationship that Firmino and Salah, that front three has together. Didn't play particularly well at the weekend, but it didn't really matter. They still have incredible talents. I think Mane, I'm not quite sure that he knows how good he is. I mean, because when he gets the ball at his feet and he can drive by people, makes it look so easy. I think it's fantastic.
In order to make that jump to what you just called the top 5, I think his finishing has to become more consistent because he puts himself in a lot of good positions. He's got to finish those chances and be as productive as some of the other players that you perhaps are talking about.
Do you sometimes get a player like that when you say he's a player who's critical to Liverpool, but not in the top 5 or 6 in terms of what we think of EPL strikers or the best
Well,
of the EPL.
I mean,
you can have some team players and some individual players. Some don't get the credit.
What about Sterling at Manchester City? I mean, we've criticised his finishing. I don't think he's a pure finisher, but he's absolutely key to what Manchester City do. I mean, look, they've got a lot of key players, don't get me wrong. But Raheem Sterling puts himself into fantastic positions and is unable to finish. If he could put the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis, he'd be an absolute superstar.
I'd love to put the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis as a footballer, but I've got no chance of becoming a professional footballer, never did. Usain Bolt, though, commences training with the Central Coast Mariners of the A-League, and Kartik wants to know, what is the chance of him becoming a professional?
Well, from what we've seen of the little run-out that he had in Germany and the little run-out that he's had in various other spots, it's not looking too well for the big man. Apparently he's gone in there not fit by his own admission, which is a stupid thing to do when you're going in for a trial. He looks a little bit sluggish. His feet are not as quick as we would hope. So I think it's going to be a big struggle for him. I mean, look,
I'm glad that you're evaluating this and breaking it down and actually giving it the treatment that it deserves, apparently.
Well, look, I was just about to add, it seems as though it's a publicity stunt. And the thing is, when you go into a trial, I don't know if you've ever been on trial, but you need to go...
Are you talking
I've been on trial.
Yeah, well, there you go. So you've got to go in flying, you've got to go in 100% fit. You can't go in half-hearted, can you?
No. Like I said, I had a trial and had no chance.
What was the trial?
County schools.
Oh, school football? You couldn't get in the team?
County schools.
And how was it?
It was good. I scored twice in 10 minutes and didn't get a look in.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so controversy. Controversy.
They never went for small players.
Was there some bias?
Before the craze.
Oh, I see.
Was the bias with the selection committee?
Definitely.
So it's what might have been for you then.
I think the team was picked.
Yeah.
And they held the trial as sort of more of a
what
show
did you play?
trial.
What did you play? What position?
Left midfield.
Oh.
But they stuck me up front.
I thought you were right-footed.
Yes.
But you like to cut inside.
I like to cut inside.
Oh.
Pace?
What do they call it?
You must have been quick.
I had pace. I had a little bit Nick Barmby, a little bit Peter Beardsley. Oh. There you go.
Nick Barmby, pace?
Yeah, nowhere near the quality, just that was the style that I tried to play.
Have a YouTube on Nick Barmby, see how quick he was. Calm down, he was not quick.
Well, he was quicker than me.
Beardsley, very decent.
So you had a chance. You
had my chance.
It's what might have been, you know?
Make sure you check out the show
Don't let
every
people
day
keep you down, Ross.
for more pearls of wisdom like that. ESPN FC available on ESPN+.
You could have been huge.
He's had a new lease on life. Wayne Rooney's arrival in MLS has breathed new life into the league, certainly new life into DC United, who've gone from perennial outsiders to now very much being in the playoff mix, Paul. It's been a long time coming for them, but can you explain exactly what he's done for the team?
Simplicity. It really is as simple as that. I had a word with Ben Olsen after the game at the weekend, and I said, it's fantastic that you've turned it around. He said, it's all down to Wayne. I said, well, why is that then? He said, his training ethic, his work ethic, the simple 1- and 2-touch passing that he does, and the engagement of the likes of Acosta, that plays 10 underneath. Ariola's bought into it, Assad's bought into it. They've got Bill Hamid in goal, Birnbaum and Opari, the two central defenders, and Knaus, who's the holding midfield player. Right down the spine of that team, they've got a lot of buy-in. And one of the I talk about simplicity as far as football's concerned. But when the ball goes into your number 9, and he played he played a 9, but somewhat of a false 9 on Sunday. But when they were in build-up, he was always available, and they knew that ball was sticking. So therefore, when the ball sticks, and he's not going to give the ball away, they can then play an expansive game, and that's exactly what they did. The full-backs were going forward, players were going beyond. Acosta and Rooney have got this. It's an uncanny little telepathy that they have together. They know where each other is. They play little 1- and 2-touch football with them. And so therefore, the team is flourishing. But it's all down to Wayne's attitude, his simplicity in training and simplicity in as a tactical side. Ben also said to me, he said, I said, how did you bring him around? And how, he said, I didn't have to bring him around. He said, you're the coach, you do the tactics, and wherever you play me, I'll try and make it work for you. That's fantastic.
It is. Do you think it will last?
Yeah, I do. I think the camaraderie. They've got Stevie came off the bench, who's a good, strong player, so they've got strength on the bench as well. But the way that they played, the way that they're very solid defensively and the way that they attack. I'm not saying it's Atlanta-esque, but it's not far off. They have got some pace in attack and they're very solid defensively. It was a joy to watch them play. I mean, obviously I was working for the New England Revolution, so it was a bit painful. But as far as watching DC's resurgence, it was, and particularly seeing an Englishman do so well, it was terrific.
Yep, certainly after the year he had last season and what he's doing coming into the league with a lot of expectation on his shoulders, a lot of cynics out there as well. Wayne Rooney at the moment certainly delivering on all fronts. It's time to take another look at the world of the transfer rater. And Paul Marinet is here to give us his judgment on these particular rumours doing the rounds at the moment as the transfer window comes to a close. Paul,
yeah.
It's hotting up very nicely indeed. Is it hotting up enough, though, to send Alonso, a recognised left-back starter at Chelsea, to Real Madrid?
Look, he started his career at Real Madrid. I understand maybe he wants to go back and all that sort of sob-story stuff. But in Sarri's system, I think he's in a perfect position. I mean, we saw him at the weekend, assist and a goal. He likes to get forward. He has got quality with that left foot. Does he want to go as an understudy? Because that's what he'd be. He'd be an understudy. Okay, he'd be going back home. But I just can't see it. I don't think Emerson's ready to come in and fill that void if Alonso goes. So, Ross, I'm going to say this is a miss.
Even if it were to Atletico Madrid, maybe. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Not for Chelsea, perhaps. Rakitic or Busquets? From Barcelona's midfield
No.
to Paris Saint-Germain.
I just cannot say that. I don't know why would Barcelona, they've lost Iniesta, why would they want to blow up that midfield? They work so well together. Yes, they've made some additions, with some quality additions, but these guys are going to play. Rakitic was fantastic in the World Cup. Busquets, we know that he does week in, week out. He's so consistent with his football. So unless there's something bubbling under the scenes that we don't really know about,
Possibly with Rabiot going the other way.
well, that's the only reason that I would never let any of those players go. I'm sorry, they're both misses for me.
All right, OK, we'll take those. Another Barca man who may be more on the fringes than those two, Paco Alcácer to Borussia Dortmund.
I can say this. Dortmund have been throwing money out like there's no tomorrow. Look, he's a bit part player. Yes, he's been playing pre-season for Barcelona, but he's a bit part player. There's, where is he going to fit in? For me, he's not going to fit in. So if Barca can create some funds and get some money, some decent money, I think, from Dortmund, I'm going to say, yeah, he'll be playing every week.
OK.
That'll be it.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek could leave on loan yet again.
And I think it's the best for him. You look at the way that Sarri's setting up. He wants to play the high press. He wants to press with five. Who's he going to oust? Pedro, Hazard, Kante, maybe Barkley. But other players can come in and fill in that void for Barkley if he's not selected. I think this would be fantastic if he goes back to Palace. I'd like to see him go back to Roy Hodgson. They have an affinity with each other. Ex-England manager Roy has gone on the record and saying, look, this guy's a really top player. Loves playing for Palace, blah, blah, blah. So it's just down the road. It's not too inconvenient for him. For his development, I'm going to say yes.
All right. So those are the thoughts of Paul into the final 10 days of the transfer window around Europe. Of course, loan deals still possible for players to leave, of course, at the English Premier League teams as well, but they can't buy anyone in. That's what we've got for you at the moment. Check back very soon indeed. We'll have some more on the transfer rate.